motherfucker. Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
Welcome back to the Mandatory, a special betting segment for you for this week. And of course, it's the Jake Paul fight that we're going to get into. Him and Amanda Serrano both fighting on this card. If you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, follow us on our social media platforms at TheMandatory TKO. And if you've already been rocking with us, we do appreciate you. So let's get right into it. Jake Paul is a minus 2,500 against Ryan Borland, who is a plus 1,300. This line is absolutely crazy. I don't even know how you would make money off of this. You'd have to make a crazy parlay or make a really good bet. But Jake Paul is 8-1, 5 of his wins coming by way of knockout. He's fighting a guy in Ryan Borland who's 17-2. He's got 6 wins by knockout. He's been knocked out 1 time. And it's been a minute since he's been in the ring. He hasn't actually fought since 2022 of September. And before then, he fought in 2018. So he has not been active. So he's fighting a boxer that has a decent record, but that is not active. Bryan, how are you betting this fight?
Boxer in air quotes, like Andre August. This is an amazing job at cherry picking. Which is not a term I typically use, but it is what it is in this aspect. Which, Jake Paul, they're trying to get him some knockout wins over guys that they're calling real boxers. Boy, his team, they're great at finding these type of dudes. Like, I thought Bob Arum was good at this, but geez, they like Ryan Borland. You have fought 1 time since 2018. Once. You've been knocked out before by a journeyman who was 8-3. It was in the first round of a fight. I think that was actually a top rank undercard. And he was, I believe, the A side for it. I'm not sure about that part. Also, if you look at his record, you're like 17-2. Oh shit. You look at the guys he beat, a lot of them were under 500. I think all but 4 or 5 of them were under 500 record wise. There were 3 consecutive guys that he beat in 2014, 2 by knockout, 1 by decision, who were making their professional debuts and who never fought again. Never stepped back in the ring, retired, or left the sport. 0-1, 0-1, 0-1. Shortly before this fight, well, not shortly before, 18 months before this fight, his most recent effort, he TKO'd someone who was 4-6. He did beat a guy that was 19-4, Jose Hernandez. But if you look up Jose Hernandez's record, he beat a lot of guys who were, way under 500. So this is not a serious opponent. This is somebody else who Jake Paul is going to knock out. He's minus 600 to 900 to win by knockout. So you can't even bet Jake Paul by knockout unless you want to put it in a parlay. Be cautious of that because Najee Lopez messed up some parlays last night. Regardless, Jake Paul, the over-under for this fight is 1.5 rounds. You don't see that in this sport, Shantelle. Like, we've been talking about this sport, covering this sport for however many years at this point. 1.5 rounds is the over-under here, and there's minus odds for Jake Paul to win by knockout between rounds 1 and 2 at minus 115. And I actually think that's how I'm going to bet this. Like, that's been my lean, and I actually think that's where I'm going because there's no reason, Jake Paul, if you knock out Andre August in the first round, there's no reason for this fight to go on longer than 2 rounds. Absolutely none with respect to Ryan Borland. But this is a can. This is a tomato can, straight up.
Yeah, and Ryan Borland hasn't been very active recently. And so this is...
And that's why it's a can, by the way. That's why. It's not even just like the career. It's really the inactivity also.
The record isn't bad, but he's not an active boxer, which is perfect for a guy like Jake Paul. But in Jake Paul's defense, if you take a look at a lot of boxers, and you could even do this with Devin Haney, usually when you're starting off and you're trying to build a name in boxing, you're fighting guys that you're going to beat, that don't have the best records, right? Because you want to get your record up, you want to get those knockouts, and you want to build a career. So if you're taking a look at it on that standpoint, if Jake Paul is trying to get a belt and he's only fought like old MMA guys, retired MMA guys and everything like that, he's just trying to get his record to where he wants to be so he can become a boxer that maybe wins a title. I forget what fight it was, but if he would have beat him, I forget what fight it was. I don't think it was the Tommy Fury one. It might have been the Tommy Fury one, but if he had beat Tommy Fury, then he would have been ranked. I forget what fight it was, but Jake Paul would have been ranked in the cruiserweight division. With Ryan Borland is a cruiserweight as well. Listen, I don't have much to say about this fight. I'm not even interested in it. I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm going to bet though for him to win in rounds 1 through 2. -115. That's the best one, because Jake Paul to win by knockout or TKO is a -600. Like, it's ridiculous. So this is a fight that they're definitely cherry picking. But at the same time, I kind of understand it if you take a look at it in a sense where he's trying to build up his resume and whatnot. But one fight that we're kind of excited about, and that's because Amanda Serrano is in the ring, and she's a -3,500 versus Nina Meinke, who is a +1,500. And this is another line that is absolutely crazy, but Amanda Serrano fighting in Puerto Rico, so this is, I'm not too surprised about the line. A little bit disrespectful. It's crazy to see lines like that, but Brian, how are you betting this one?
Yeah, I don't think lines should just be like this. Andy Cruz was minus 10,000 the other day. I get it, but like, yo, like, come on, bro. 10,000? Like, if you bet $1 million, you're not even gonna make that much of a profit on that. Amanda Serrano's gonna whoop this woman's ass. Nina Meinke has fought for a title before. She's actually pretty skilled, and I think she's gonna be on the defensive, which is why I think this fight can go to the cards again. There was a point, and I did this on my Action Network video and preview, written preview for this. There was a point in Manny Pacquiao's career where he just stopped knocking people out for whatever reason. After the Miguel Cotto stoppage in 2009, his last 17 fights, he recorded one stoppage. And Manny Pacquiao fought until 2021. So that was a 12-year period. I feel like Amanda Serrano is kind of in that mode of her career right now. She's older. She's not getting the stoppages. Now, the only concern that I have, if you're betting a decision, which is my lean at +120 decision for Amanda Serrano to win on the cards. Danilo Ramos and Amanda Serrano fought in October, another fight that I was at. 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds, no knockdowns. Surprised me because I thought she was going to stop Danilo Ramos, because Danilo Ramos also doesn't have the power to keep Amanda Serrano off her. She was just tough as shit. Mikey has been stopped before. However, that was a doctor stoppage. It was against Katie Taylor, actually, several years ago. Cut above her eye. They stopped the fight. You would think, yeah, that could happen again. It's 12 rounds. I think if you're going to bet the knockout, you got to do between round 7 and 12, because I don't think it's going to be early. I think it's going to be like a TKO type of stoppage. And I think with Amanda Serrano, Nina Meinke, like, if Amanda Serrano doesn't get the knockout here, then yeah, I'm just betting her decision from here on out. Like, this happens to some guys. Like Manny Pacquiao, at some point, he started winning all his fights on points. There's Canelo Alvarez actually is kind of like this right now, where he hasn't knocked out anybody worth a damn in a while. And he's been winning more fights on points than I think people recognize. So yeah, I think this is probably going to go to the cards. But if I had to bet a knockout, and if I had like a free bet to go along with that to make extra profit, yeah, then Amanda Serrano could get the knockout late. They picked this opponent because they think she could, and it's in Puerto Rico. So, maybe she does that, but I wouldn't spend a lot on either of these fights, because these are tough fights to handicap when you have money line favorites of, people in the thousands.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fight that they picked for Amanda Serrano returning to Puerto Rico. They're going to want her to put on a show. Nina Meinke, listen, she's been knocked out before, as Brian said, a stoppage against Katie Taylor. I think it's when Katie Taylor was like 4-0 really early on, but she's 18-3, 4 of those wins by knockout. She doesn't have the power either. Like we talked about Danilo Ramos, and Nina Meinke barely has any power, but very skilled. I think in this fight, she will show some skill, but Amanda Serrano, the thing about her is that first off, you could argue that she's the face of boxing. You could argue that she is the best women's boxer right now. You could argue those things. The skill,
Maybe ever.
the speed, the power. I think it's going to be a little bit too much for Nina Meinke. And at first, I was like gonna rock with Amanda Serrano with the decision, because every fight that Amanda Serrano has had within the last couple of years, I've been betting on decision, to be honest with you, because I also believe that I would hope that the women get 3-minute rounds at one point, which, by the way, Amanda Serrano was trying to do, and then the commission was like, nah, fam, you can't do that. So Amanda Serrano was trying to change up things, but for this fight, because Nina Meinke, I do think that Amanda Serrano is going to impose her will. I think the speed is going to be too much. I think the power is going to be too much. And I think Puerto Rico is going to get what they want to see. And that's Amanda Serrano knockout Nina Manke. And so I'm going to take it in rounds 7 through 12 because there's a little bit of value there at plus 190. And normally I would go with the decision. I do think that's a safer bet. But after taking a look at some highlights and the fact that they purposely picked Nina Manke, and I'm not saying Amanda Serrano is cherry picking because Manke, listen, she's been in the ring. She has a decent record. I just think that to go back home to Puerto Rico, you're going to want to put on a show. And I think Amanda Serrano is going to put on a show. I think it's going to be a stoppage in rounds 7 through 12. Some value there at plus 190. Bryan, before we get up and out of here, any final thoughts?
Yeah, what scared me off that bet ultimately was thought she would knock out Danila Ramos. Didn't even knock her down. And that was a 12-round fight. Thought she would knock out Erica Cruz. It was a 10-round fight. But not only did that not happen, Erica Cruz actually won.
All those girls are better than Nina Manke, though. Let's keep that in mind.
I don't know if Danila Ramos is better than Nina Manke.
I mean, skill-wise, but she's tough, though. She's tough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Nina Manke is going to be on the defensive and is going to be in survival mode. I think if you want to get into the political aspects of this, and this is why I'm not betting a lot on this fight at all. Will the referee be jumpy? Maybe, but in order to get an early stoppage. But I think this should be a stoppage ultimately, but she hasn't gotten one in 3 years. So
yeah, the safe bet is definitely decision, and I don't think I've bet Amanda Serrano stoppage or KO for a long time, but I think with the setting and everything, I think she gets it done in this one. So I'm thinking there will be 2 knockouts, her and Jake Paul. But here at the Mandatory, we want to know how you're going to be betting. Drop your comments below, drop your slips. Also, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button, and also follow us on our social media channels. We hope you enjoy the fights.